And I guess, you're going to be making a lot of your fans very happy, obviously, because it'll be first time that they've had the chance to see you in a long, long time. And I guess for a lot of people, they wouldn't have had the chance to see you live at all.
Well, the internet's been an amazing thing. I mean, the internet's changed a lot for a lot of bands, including, my old band Marillion and myself. It's interesting to see that, since we started talking about an American tour, we were getting the figures through for the website, and we found that across the website as a whole, internationally, the number of new hits were then on the website. The number of new people that come in and visit the website had gone up by something like 57% in the last month. And that's a phenomenal figure. And in America, there was an increase of traffic of something like 73%. And this is the thing. I mean, when I used to go tour in the 80s, and American fans would discover it if they got like an import copy of Kerrang or something like that, or Sounds magazine or something. Whereas now they can go on the website. You can either go through to www.thecompany.com with a hyphen between that and company, or you can go up to, if you type in 13star.com, which is 13, the number is 13star.com, and you can hear sound clips, you can find out what the tour is, you can see reviews, you can see photographs, you can get opinions and blogs, and suddenly you're a lot closer than you ever used to be, way back in the 80s, and I think that's made it an exciting forum as well. And Marillion were always a kind of cult band across in America, and a lot of people are tapping back into us again, and just, they're definitely rediscovering me for a kick-off. I know that for a fact, And as I said, I don't think 13 Star's going to disappoint anybody that's into kind of like, the genre of progressive rock or whatever. And there's a lot of other people out there that'll get into it as well.
And I guess everything is, much more spontaneous these days, what with the internet. Whereas previously, you'd have to wait a week to read a review of the gig in the music paper, by which time you've already missed the gig, or, it could be a while before you play there again.
That's it. And as I said as well, I'm carrying, stock of my entire back catalogue over there. A lot of my catalogue's not been available in the States for a long, long time. The last bona fide release I had there was the Sunsets and Empire album that came through Viceroy, which was the last time we came back in 1998, right? And that was a plague, because it was great. We came across, we're at Viceroy, and we sold about 20,000 albums or something, and they principally on the East Coast. The company went bankrupt, and it's like, bam, and it's like, it was like, oh. So I'm hoping it's a little like that. I don't think it'll be like that. I've got Koch behind me now. Most of that, the Bullabase, the best of the Return of Children albums have been released on Koch in the late summer. As I said, if this tour works, then, there is a likelihood that we could be coming back and doing something that's a bit more extravagant.
Oh, that sounds great. What I'd like to do now is take you back to when you were a teenager growing up in Scotland. Was it always your ambition to be a musician or a singer, or was it just something you did as a hobby, and as you started, having more success, you started taking it more seriously?
Well, no, I think being a singer was a fantasy. I think, there was much chance of becoming a singer as an actor. They were both kind of like fantasy jobs, but I didn't actually start singing until 1981. That was when I did my first ever gig. It was 1980 I did my first ever gig, and then I joined Marillion on January 81, and then I just moved on it. But I committed to going down to London, and I kind of thrown everything in where, okay, here I go, I'm going to London, I've got nothing else to do. So I kind of threw all my eggs into the one basket and went for it.
And the impression I get was that you were pretty much the driving force there, getting the bookings, finding a manager, and, getting press coverage for the band.
Well, as I said, I was very driven because, Steve Rotherham and I had Stevie come down from Whitby, and I'd come down from Edinburgh. And, we were throwing everything in. We weren't interested in being part-time musicians. This wasn't like get a job in a bank and like work at weekends. This was like we want to be ultimately professional musicians and make albums and make a living out of it. So, and I happen to be kind of good at that kind of stuff. I'm good at organising. I'm very good at kind of taking control and organising people. So therefore, I kind of stepped naturally into that role, and it worked very well.
And when you think back to that period, do you think that it's easier or more difficult for bands who are just starting off these days?
Horrendous. I would hate to be in a band starting off now.
But I guess the advantages these days are that you do have the internet to spread the word.
So what do we have on the site on the internet? But how do you get people to come to that site? This is the problem. You still have to promote, whether you're promoting on the internet or promoting through standardized media. You've still got to promote. You've still got to make people aware of what you're doing. They won't just stumble on you. You know, it's people have got to start talking about things and start following you to gather interest. So people go up to your website and check you out. You know. And there are so many bands of it. And the problem is, I think the technology is so readily available. It's so easy to make an album these days. There's a lot of crap being produced. There's a lot of very bad albums. We've moved into an MP3 culture where people are writing tracks. They're not writing albums. You know, if they get two great tracks together, then they'll bundle an album around it and sell it as an album, you know? And I think that's been, you know, I work as a DJ on Planet Rock, and, you know, I hear a lot of different albums. And when I was working before as a DJ on Station PM, I used to get given new albums. And you get the first two tracks that are produced by Bill Leckie or somebody like that. And then the rest of the tracks are all produced by some entity. And the difference in sound quality and overall quality of the first two tracks and the other 8 is immense. And, you know, you're buying an album, and I think that's why we've kind of moved into that MP3 generation, because people have been buying albums. They go, wait a minute, these other 8 tracks are crap, you know? All I want is those 2. I don't want the other 8. I don't want to spend 10, 12 pounds on an album. I just want the 2 tracks. And, you know, it's obviously, you know, I don't work like that. When I go to write an album, I go to write an album. You know, I don't go to write 2 singles and then hinge everything around it. I go to write an album, and if there happens to be a couple of, you know, outstanding radio tracks, and I went, wow, it's a bonus, but I go to write an album, and every track has got to be up there in high quality control mode, you know?
Well, I guess one of the disadvantages is that it's not like the past where you know, used to get bands who would go out and tour and, you know, do lots of gigging to improve their musicianship and hone their skills in front of an audience. A lot of times these days, you know, bands or solo artists will record something in a PC in their bedroom and expect instant success from it without actually having never played in front of an audience and getting feedback from it.
It's too easy to record in the bedroom now. It's too easy to draw something on a computer, and then, you know, and it's like you bring out the first album full of pizzazz and, you know, full of zing and energy. And like they go on the stage and they don't know how to work the stage. The front men don't know how to do audiences. You know, they don't know how to talk to an audience. You know, they've got no idea of presence, etc. And whereas, you know, in the old days, you had to save your money up to get there to make a demo, and then you had to continue working and work that demo until you could get to an album kind of situation, and that involved at that time a lot of gigging. And it's kind of changed a bit now. It's a lot easier for people to. You know, there's a lot of dependency on technology, but, you know, that's their thing. Hey, I do my thing, you know. I'm interested in what I do, you know. I don't really kind of, you know, I don't chart myself against other bands or anything like that. If I do it, I do it to the best of my ability, then great. And I go out and I do my live shows and I promote my live shows as I'm doing here, and it's cool, you know, and I like it, you know. I just want to be able to make music for the next 10 years or so.
When you look back at that time when you were with Marillion and you had some success, do you think things were too intense when you have a record label behind you and you have to go in, record your album, promote it, and then tour it, and then, you know, start over again?
I mean, you know, I'm doing just as many gigs as I was doing when I was back in the Marillion days. I don't do it with the frequency. It's not like 4 or 5 shows on, then 1 day off. I mean, it's 3 shows on, 1 day off, 3 shows on, 1 day off. I mean, but I'm still touring. I'm touring just as much as I was doing with Marillion in the early days. I'm not playing anywhere near the same size of venues, obviously. But it's, apart from in the States, the same size of venues I was playing in the 80s with Marillion. But I mean, you know, it's different. But yeah, I make a living out of this. You know, I'm not. Like I said, I don't have a 9-to-5 job and like go out and kid on at weekends. You know, I mean, I do this for real. You know.
Yeah. And of course, last year you made many of your fans' dreams come true when you got back with Marillion to play Market Square Heroes in Aylesbury Town Square. What did that feel like? And, you know, was it a difficult thing to organise? 5
guys who got together were really old friends that are gonna, you know, come onto the world stage as Blue-Eyed Boys, you know, and like we've gone out and did what we did and we split up. And I think it put to bed a lot of the rumours that, you know, we're kind of sworn mortal enemies. We actually got on really well. Mark Kelly's still one of my best friends. And, you know, Ian and I get on great. I mean, you know, we're still in relatively close contact considering we're about 500 miles removed from each other. Yeah. But, you know, it was one song in the Market Square in Aylesbury where we first started, a song that was written about the Market Square Heroes, you know. So it was, and it was really cool. It was a really nice thing to do, you know, and I think we were both amazed at just how much publicity and how much interest it actually generated. I mean, it was one of the most hit articles on the BBC World website. First gets back with Marillion, I said, no, you didn't. It's only a song. Right.
But I think emotionally it meant a lot to a lot of people just to see you back on stage together again after so long.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, considering it was the rehearsal, I mean, you know, we hadn't actually stood in a room and rehearsed at all. We just went on the stage and went for it. And it was cool. There was no pressure on us. There was no pre-advertising. Nobody knew we were going to do it apart from a few close friends. And it was cool, you know?
Yeah, and so what was it like after those years with Marillion when you had to go into studio and record your first solo album? So, you know, you were used to having a band around you, and now it was all down to you. Was it a daunting experience?
It was scary and it was exciting, you know? I mean, it's a very different thing being solo and being in a band. I mean, when things go wrong, there's no shoulders to cry on, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, the same thing when things go right. I mean, it's sometimes the celebrations can be slightly lonely, you know? But it's something I've come to enjoy. I mean, I enjoy the control. I mean, I'm not a control freak, but I enjoy the control of it. Sometimes I've made decisions that have been detrimental to my career. Sometimes I've made decisions that have been impetuous and where I followed my heart and not listened to my head enough, you know. And, you know, but hey, I've had some really good times. I mean, as I said, I mean, I would never have got to some of the places that I've been if I'd been in Marillion. I mean, I've been in Bosnia, I've been in Kosovo, you know, doing gigs with the army and stuff. And, you know, I've been in a lot of different countries playing gigs where, you know, Marillion as a machine could never have afforded to go to. I mean, you know, the very fact that even Marillion as a unit now are finding it extremely difficult to come out to play America, you know, and I'm able to come out with my little guerrilla unit. I think it's a sign of like where I'm at.
Uh-huh.